The restaurant lights flickered against the glass windows, as if the universe itself was hesitating to witness what was about to unfold. A young woman sat at the edge of her seat, fingers nervously twisting the strap of her worn-out purse. Her heart raced. Her eyes darted between the expensive chandelier above and the polished silverware placed in front of her. She had never been in a place like this before, never felt so out of place, like a guest in a world that wasn't hers. And then, with trembling lips, she whispered the words that would change everything. "I don't deserve this date." But what he said back left her stunned. Before I take you deeper into this story, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love that heals broken souls, then please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Your support means the world. Her name was Emily Carter, a 27-year-old woman who had carried more storms than most people her age. She grew up in the small town of Bloomfield, raised by a single mother who struggled to keep the lights on and food on the table. From the very beginning, Emily felt the weight of being unwanted. Her father had abandoned them before she could even remember his face, leaving her mother broken and bitter. Every day was a battle. Her mother's anger often lashed out at her, telling her she was a burden, a mistake, a reminder of the man who had left. Those words carved deep wounds inside Emily's heart, shaping her into a woman who never truly believed she was worth love. In high school, she was quiet, invisible. She wore hand-me-down clothes while other girls flaunted new dresses. She worked nights at the local diner while classmates attended dances. When boys did notice her, it was often out of pity or cruel curiosity, never genuine care. By the time she reached adulthood, Emily had mastered the art of shrinking herself, never drawing attention, never expecting kindness. She dated men who treated her poorly because, deep inside, she thought that was all she was worthy of. And then came Daniel Hayes. Daniel was everything Emily was not. Born into a stable family, raised with encouragement, he had grown into a man who carried confidence like a second skin. At 31, he was a successful architect in the city, someone who turned dreams into buildings. Yet for all his success, Daniel had his share of heartbreak. He had been engaged once, years earlier, to a woman who loved the idea of his status more than his soul. When the truth came out, he swore he'd never fall for illusions again. He wanted something real, something raw and true. Their worlds collided on a cold winter evening when Emily was working late at the diner. Daniel had walked in, weary from work, coat dusted with snow, and ordered coffee. He noticed her not because she tried to stand out, but because she didn't. She moved quietly between tables, her eyes avoiding everyone, her smile faint but genuine whenever a customer thanked her. There was something in the way she carried invisible scars, something that drew Daniel in. He came back the next night, and the next. Not because the coffee was good, but because he found himself looking for her. Weeks passed and finally he asked her out. Emily froze, almost certain it was a cruel joke. Men didn't ask her out to dinner at fine restaurants, but Daniel's eyes were steady, sincere. Against every instinct telling her she wasn't enough, she agreed. And now here she was, sitting across from him at an elegant restaurant, surrounded by polished marble floors and chandeliers that seemed to mock her modest dress. She kept glancing at the other women, draped in silk, diamonds catching the light, while she wore a simple blue dress she had borrowed from a friend. Her shoes pinched, her stomach was in knots, and every voice from her past screamed the same words. "You don't belong here. You don't deserve this." When the waiter poured water into her glass, her hands shook so much she almost spilled it. Finally, unable to take the weight of her insecurity, Emily lowered her gaze and whispered, "I don't deserve this date." Daniel leaned forward, his eyes searching hers. For a moment, Emily expected laughter, or pity, or perhaps silence. But instead, Daniel spoke words that would break through her walls. He said, "Emily, you don't deserve this date. You deserve more than this date. You deserve someone who sees you, who chooses you, who reminds you every day that you're enough. And if you don't believe it yet, I'll believe it for you until you can." Her breath caught in her throat. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. No one had ever seen beyond the fragile shell she carried. She blinked rapidly, trying to hold back tears in a room full of strangers, but Daniel didn't look away. His gaze anchored her like a lighthouse in a storm. The dinner itself was simple, filled with gentle conversation. Daniel asked about her life, not out of idle curiosity, but genuine interest. Emily spoke hesitantly at first, afraid her stories of hardship would bore him, but he listened with his whole heart, nodding, smiling, sometimes even reaching across the table to steady her trembling hands. For the first time, Emily felt that maybe, just maybe, her story mattered. After dinner, they walked outside into the crisp night air. Snowflakes danced around street lamps, settling gently on Emily's shoulders. Daniel offered his coat, draping it around her even though he shivered in his shirt. She felt warmth not just from the fabric, but from the thoughtfulness behind it. As they strolled past glowing shop windows, Emily confessed softly, "I've never felt good enough for anyone." For anything. Daniel stopped, turning to face her. "Emily, don't measure yourself by the people who failed to see your worth. Their blindness doesn't define you. You are not what they said you are. You are not the mistakes they made. You are someone who has survived storms, and that makes you extraordinary." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but this time she didn't hide them. She let the tears fall because they weren't tears of shame. They were tears of release, of hope awakening inside her for the first time. The days that followed weren't a fairy tale overnight. Emily still wrestled with doubt, still battled the voices of her past. But Daniel was patient. He didn't try to fix her scars. He simply held space for them. He showed up for her, at the diner with flowers, at the park with laughter, in quiet moments with reassurance. Slowly, brick by brick, the walls Emily had built around her heart began to crumble. Months later, when Daniel asked her to meet his family, Emily nearly refused. She was terrified of judgment, of not being enough. But Daniel held her hand and whispered, "Just be yourself. That's more than enough for me, and it will be for them too." And he was right. His family welcomed her, not for what she lacked, but for the kindness in her eyes, the gentleness in her voice. For the first time in her life, Emily felt a sense of belonging she had never known. Years later, when Daniel knelt on one knee in the same restaurant where she had once said she didn't deserve a date, Emily wept uncontrollably. But this time, the tears were not from unworthiness. They were from gratitude. Gratitude for a man who taught her that love is not about deserving. It's about giving, choosing, and healing together. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to our channel. Every story we share is meant to remind you that kindness, hope, and love still exist in this world, and your support helps keep these stories alive. And before this story ends, we have one special request. Please comment below and tell us, have you ever felt unworthy of love, only to be reminded that you are more than enough? Your words may inspire someone else who needs hope tonight. Emily's journey was not just about falling in love with Daniel. It was about finally falling in love with herself. She learned that worth is not measured by wealth, beauty, or perfection, but by resilience, compassion, and the courage to let someone in. And sometimes all it takes is one person who sees the light in you when you cannot see it yourself. And that is how the girl who once whispered, "I don't deserve this date," found out she deserved the whole world.